Welcome back to The Express. Stampede, Tack, and Western Wear in Cloverdale. This is our special on local country culture. Although I came to it later in life, I am a big country music fan. And the thing about country musicians, they're storytellers. Angela Harris grew up in the Chilcotin region, and she learned the harmonies to old country, bluegrass, and folk songs while trekking through BC's glorious backcountry. These days, she's playing to kind of a different crowd.
There in that small town, I was scraping off the bottom.
The song is called Roots, and every time Angela Harris plays it, it reminds her of home.
Roots can grow anywhere. Roots can grow anywhere.
When I knew that I had to leave and come to the city, there was a part of me that I really was leaving behind. And I wanted to write a song about that so that it was kind of always carved into physical form.
Guide me and keep me in one place.
Many of her songs are about the quiet life back in the West Chilcotin region of BC. That's where Angela grew up, fishing with her grandfather and cutting firewood for heat. It's also where she developed a strong connection with country music.
My grandpa would come in the house and he would pull out a record and put it on and it would be playing. And so it would be Hank Snow and Tom T. Hall and Patsy Cline, Kitty Wells. It was always playing.
As the dawn breaks.
That rustic acoustic guitar-driven style would form the foundation of her musical storytelling, as Angela calls it, a way to share with the world what beautiful British Columbia is all about.
Because I wanted to be able to share my music with people that cared about all of those things that we experience and see and feel and touch every day.
Today, Angela lives in North Vancouver and is a veteran of Canada's country music scene. She has a dozen BC Country Music Award nominations under her belt, including a 2011 BC CMA Award for Roots Canadiana.
She's the first lady of country. She sounds like the real thing, you know. No auto-tune required.
With the album releases, touring, and award shows, Angela's biggest challenge has been trying to maintain the quiet lifestyle she's never been able to let go of. But through country music, Angela's able to stay grounded no matter where life takes her.
And when it all comes crashing down.
It's the music that can speak to anybody at any time, anywhere in the world. It's the people's music.
I'm Tim Chung in North Vancouver for The Express.
Angela is a woman of many talents, self-managing her career for over 20 years as a record producer, an event manager, a graphic artist, among other things, like being a fabulous singer-songwriter. Her website is angelaharris.net. Now, today on The Express, we're at Stampede, Tack, and Western Wear in Cloverdale, where, as I mentioned, they have over 3,000 pairs of cowboy boots. But any idea how the cowboy boots are made? After 60 years in business, Dayton Boots in Vancouver knows a thing or two about walking the line.
They say that clothes make the man, but when it comes to a cowboy, it's all about the boots.
In a cowboy's point of view, it's their living. It's not unlike the logger. The one thing that you depend on is to have sturdy boots. If you're riding all day, you're getting off the saddle, you need a boot that's going to last under harsh conditions.
After 60 years of making boots, not many can compare with the quality of a Dayton. The company was originally started by Charlie Wolford, who began by fixing the boots of loggers, and then he later teamed up with a man named Chunky Woodward, who was the owner of Douglas Lake Ranch and the CEO of the Woodward's department store.
And one of the problems that they had on the ranch was he had literally hundreds of cowhens, and they often complained about the fact that the boots would chafe on the stirrup. At that point, the traditional method of making cowboy boots was to use two pieces of leather, piece it together.
They decided to change the way the boots were made, which paved the way for today's cowboy boot.
So it became very popular with the cowboy set, and those same cowboys often owned motorcycles, and it kind of crossed over to motorcycle riders and then to some of the local hard-nosed toughs in town in Vancouver. It became the boot.
But if you've ever worn a cowboy boot, you know they're not the most pleasant footwear to walk in.
Cowboy boots are inherently uncomfortable simply because if you look at the three kinds of constructions that you make, round toes, which are the most natural, a good foot doctor would say, that allows your foot to spread, square toe or snoot boots, which are square, which are a little tighter, and anytime you have a cowboy toe, it's going to be inherently somewhat uncomfortable.
But aside from being uncomfortable, somehow putting them on gives you a sense of power.
Normally the heel is about 1.5 inches, almost 2 inches sometimes, so it gives you a sense of being kind of above the fray. And, you know, they're also kind of kicky. And, you know, yeah, you get that feeling of something special is happening with a pair of cowboy boots.
I'm Peter Verge in Vancouver for The Express.
Dayton Boots sells worldwide, and although BC is a big market, they're also very popular in Japan. They make about 2,000 pairs of boots every year, each pair taking about 2 to 3 weeks to make. You're watching our Express special on country culture, and we've got some pretty wild stuff coming up.
Outdoor cooking with barbecue champion Brian Misko.
If you've got something mastered on your skillet and in your oven, bring it outside and just see how it changes.
Adventures on horseback in Pemberton's Wild West.
I wouldn't have a life without horses.
The Express. We are your local voice.
Community programming on Shaw has been generously sponsored in part by
hairstyling and color services for Shaw TV, provided by the Lounge Hair Studio, loungehairstudio.com.
Today's generation of young people spend the least amount of time outside of any generation in human history. We need to have children out, we need to have people out in order to see the world around that allows us to live. I think something like the Sea to Sky Trail is the epitome of what we need to get people back out into the real world, to see nature as it can be, and something that we are a part of and that we must fight to protect.
I'm an island girl, but Vancouver's definitely home. I think home is where your happy place is. That's what I love about The Express. We meet people who are passionate about what they do. And we're not pretending to be something we're not. We're just celebrating who we really are.
Welcome to The Express. I'm Johanna Ward. Today's show is all about you. I think I might actually be in love with these boots. Pretty hot, hey? Welcome back to The Express at Stampede, Tack, and Western Wear in Cloverdale, where I am like a kid in a candy store. Of course, if you like down-home cooking, you will be too with this next story. Beef stew, bacon mac and cheese, skillet cornbread, and would you believe it can all be done on the barbecue? Although it helps to have a barbecue champion do the cooking.
Brian Misko is an internationally recognized barbecue champion with his own line of barbecue products and lots of great ideas for country western themed cooking.
Country western cuisine would be, to me, would be a bonfire or a fire in the middle of the field and a pot or something that's like a cast iron pot hanging off of that with just a tremendous amount of flavor, lots of patience, lots of love, and lots going on.
Short of a bonfire, Brian suggests the backyard barbecue and smoker to get those appealing outdoorsy flavors into foods like macaroni and cheese, cornbread, and beef stew.
Your grill or your smoker has that fantastic charcoal burning natural flavor, which is really appealing. So that's where you get that extra character to whatever your dish. If you've got something mastered on your skillet and in your oven, bring it outside and just see how it changes and see what flavor you get there. And we'll mix those up.
Brian's skillet cornbread starts in the kitchen and ends on the barbecue.
Put it in your skillet, put it on your grill, give it some great flavor from the smoky environment, and you've got that beautiful cast iron skillet to give it an extra character. And we'll heat that up and then we'll sear off our meat and add it all together for our stew.
For the beef stew, the meat was grilled and smoked, then added to the rest of the stew, which was cooked entirely outdoors.
Stews are fantastic because you've got a couple of layers that are going on there. One is you've got a stew, and the characteristic of that is something that's going to need some patience and time, and just that brings all of the flavor together in that stew, makes the meat tender and lots of gravy and just lots going on that way. But the added element on there is putting it on your grill and adding that smoky charcoal flavor to searing the meat and letting it cook in your grill. 2 different layers in there. Fantastic thing to do. Let's mix those in there and we'll stir it up and melt them.
And finally, the classic comfort food macaroni and cheese gets a new heartiness when cooked on the barbecue and finished on the smoker.
I think this is the best mac and cheese I've ever had.
Altogether, a fantastic country western feast. In Surrey, I'm Kendall Harris for The Express.
If you're inspired to do some outdoor cooking, you can find all 3 recipes online at houseofq.com. And for details on Brian's award-winning barbecue sauces, just click on products. You're watching our Express special on country culture, and our next story looks like a scene from The Man from Snowy River. Hitching posts, cowboys, horses, everything covered in snow. But there's nothing Hollywood about it. Pemberton cowboy Bob Menzel is the real deal.
Horses were my transportation ever since I was 5 or 6 years old.
Pemberton was a wild, wild west when Bob Menzel was born. In the 1950s, the only way in and out of this farming community was by foot, train, or horse.
In the early years, we could take the shotgun to school and either bring it to the office or leave it out beside a tree until after school, so we were hunting on our way home. It was a 1.5 mile walk. If you had a horse, you took it instead. There was no school buses. Hey, babe. Don't run off, I need you.
Horses have been in the Menzel family bloodline for centuries. Cowboys, ranchers, breeders, and even guards.
We have documented family history right back to the Crusades because we were the bodyguards of the kings and queens of heaven.
And in 1911, Bob's grandfather and 10 children immigrated from Germany to Canada just before World War I to begin a new life in Pemberton. Freedom was what they sought and then passed on to future generations.
Hey, baby. I was raised just across the field. They say you could buy land for $100 an acre, but it costs you $1,000 an acre to clear it.
These are only a few of the stories guests can hear on a trail ride with Bob and his partner Susan Perry, who are tacking up for a winter wonderland ride. Bob started adventures on horseback tours in 1983. The decision evolved as naturally as his environment.
It was just a way to pay the horse bills instead of going logging. One day it was kind of busy and somebody said, "You go for a ride," and they gave me some money for it, and I thought, hey, the horses maybe can feed themselves.
Bob and Susan's horses aren't your average nose-to-tail followers. Give any of these horses a kick and prepare for a real Wild West adventure. All of this ranch's 20-plus horses are bred from a 5-time Canadian English jumping champion.
Every horse we have, we've raised from babies.
Bob starts them. He's amazing at getting on anything and just making it work. He's got that gift, you know. I think the horses feed off him because he's so confident and so, you know, he's just there for them.
Best thing known to a horse.
Susan is an accomplished cowgirl herself.
This is Hot Shot. This is the one I won the World Championships and the Canadians and all the rodeo titles.
The 2-time world champion first mounted a polo pony at 3 years old, but now jumping and dressage has been replaced with rodeo and barrel racing.
Our horses are our stars. They're superstars. And there's nothing like a horse in this world. There is nothing.
The two enjoy the freedom they find in their saddles as the cares of the world fall and settle around them like snowflakes. The passion that starts their day at 4:30 a.m. in the stables is shared year-round, winter, spring, summer, and fall.
We never really shut the trail rides. In the wintertime, sort of just kind of jog around the village a little bit and then tie up at the pony or going for a hot chocolate or a coffee or latte or something. You know, it's a great experience.
A modern cowboy hitching post wrapped in history, which is as authentic as the cowboy hat Bob taps.
I wouldn't have a life without horses. I told somebody I'd be climbing on a horse at 100, even if it was just to get on and off. We'll see if I'm not lucky.
From what used to be a historical horse trail in Pemberton, I'm Nicole Fitzgerald for The Express.
Bob loves old Western movies, and his favorite, The Searchers, starring John Wayne. Now, he says most actors in Westerns aren't very good riders, but that John Wayne did all his stunts himself. And tip my hat to that one. You're watching The Express, and it's time now for our spotlight on local events.
Paul Brandt is the most awarded Canadian country male artist in history and is on tour in Canada this fall. This Alberta-born country superstar released his new album entitled Give It Away. Enjoy a delicious traditional Christmas dinner and square dance at the Town & Country Swingers Christmas fundraiser. This festive evening will take place at the Ridge Meadows Seniors Activity Center in Maple Ridge. Book your group in this fun team event. Based on the reality show Man Tracker, this modified version places team against team. One team takes off into the bush on foot with a map and a compass and a head start, while the other trackers are on horseback, armed with a local guide.
Do you think my stash goes with the hat? Remember, Movember is wrapping up, and so is our Movember Express contest. So you can go to our Express Facebook page, that's the Express Band, vote for your favorite Movember photo, or if you've got time, post your own photo and maybe you'll get enough likes. You're watching The Express at Stampede, Tack, and Western Wear in Cloverdale. That's it for today's show. Thanks for watching The Express only on Shaw TV. Y'all come back now. You hear?
The back of the bags, we're leaving the rags. The broken hearted press of